Hey you, thanks for joining me. So I thought I would start doing like a monthly favorites thing where I just go through some things that I liked this month, that inspired me or that I discovered this month, and just share that both in a list through my Substack and as a video. So initially I was going to just do this as a text only kind of thing, but sometimes I like watching videos of people talking about things they like, even if I don't actually care about that specific thing. Like the way they describe it kind of gives me an idea if it's something that I want to uh, check out or not. So I actually love watching those kind of things. So I figured I might as well try and make them into a video as well. This month I've got a TV show, some music, and some authors that I'm going to talk about. Other months might be totally different in terms of the categories of things that I talk about. So I guess we'll just dive right into it, starting with one of the TV shows that I really enjoyed this month. How To with John Wilson is a show that I had heard of for years, but the name kind of put me off, to be honest. Like, I wasn't really sure if I would vibe with it just off of the name alone. And I am just so glad that I actually did give it a try when I was on a plane ride, and they had like a few episodes that you could watch on the plane. And I was like, yes, this show, like as soon as I watched like probably like 2 minutes of the show, honestly, I was hooked. I was like, this show is amazing. I love it. And then I took a plane another time and was able to watch the same episodes over again. And I was like, this show is still amazing. Love it. And we just got a subscription for Crave to be able to watch a few things. And one of the first things that we watched was How To with John Wilson. I have not finished it yet, actually. We're on like the end of season 2, I think. And I've seen some of season 3 on the plane. So getting close to the end. And honestly, like I could probably rewatch it several times. It's just so good. So this show is kind of like a nature documentary for humans. The filmmaker, narrator, and also he does some of the writing is John Wilson, and he just goes around New York and gets these amazing shots that just work so well. And he also like goes on little adventures. So basically, you get a thing that he's trying to like figure out, and then you just go on a wild ride where like there's points in an episode where I will be like, never did I think that we'd be watching something starting off here and we would end up listening to this person or seeing this thing. Like it's just so all over the place, but it also flows. Yeah, it's awesome. It's so funny. It's got like some nice reflective like heartfelt stuff. It's got like just a lot of like realness to it. Like obviously the narration is scripted, but it still feels very real. And I love it. The only thing I would say is like a warning is that like there are some things that you maybe didn't want to see. If you were like exceptionally squeamish or something, then it may not be the show for you. So on to music. Some of these are new releases, and one of these is a very non-new release. So number one is Apocalypse Orchestra has released some new music. They've released a couple of songs earlier than January, but I just like ended up listening to all the stuff that they've put out so far for their new album in January, and I'm so excited that they are making that they've made another album. Um, and I really like these guys. They are like medieval meets metal. I really like the like sound of medieval music, like the instruments and just putting that in with like metal. It's so cool. Um yeah, I just their sound is really neat and I enjoy the heck out of it. So I'm super stoked that they have some new stuff. So the next one is Old Nick, and they are like a dungeon synthy black metal band that I think I heard on a Bandcamp playlist thing. And I heard like just a little bit of this one song, and I was like, oh, I am gonna like this. And yeah, they're so fun. Black metal is pretty cringy just in general, in my opinion. But when you lean into the cringe, that is when black metal sometimes gets the best. And they just lean into the cringe a ton, and I love it. If you want some dungeon synthy black metal, give it a try. Number 3 is Soar. So Soar has a new album coming out February 7th. I listened to the album on their like Bandcamp uh album release thing, and I love that they have an acoustic song on that album. So I might be saying it wrong. I just was gonna add a little, I forgot to say what this band actually sounds like. So I guess it's actually pronounced Sur, and it means free and unconstrained in Scottish Gaelic. So that's really cool. So this band is really just a solo project run by Andy Marshall, and it's a love letter to Scotland, basically. It's described in terms of like genres as like atmospheric folk and black metal, and like I feel like that just doesn't quite do it justice. Like and that's kind of I think why Andy likes to describe it more as Caledonian metal than kind of having any specific metal label onto it. And honestly, it's rad. I like it a lot. It's just beautiful, and it's inspired by the beauty of and the history of Scotland. So that's really cool. I don't know. They're just rad, and I'm stoked that they have a new album. So next up we have a very not metal one. So this one is Matt Berry's new album. So you may be familiar with Matt Berry as an actor. He's been in things like The IT Crowd, What We Do in the Shadows, among a bunch of other stuff. But he also makes music, and his music is just like the sound of someone making music that's whatever the heck they want. And I am so there for it. Um, so I don't even know how to like concisely describe his music. It's like folky, alternative-y, psychedelic-y, rock popish, retro flavored stuff. And it's just so good. It's pretty funky. I really dig his stuff. And it's weird. Like there's some stuff on there where you're like, this is very bizarre. He has a new album that came out this month, and it's been pretty fun. I won't say I love like every single thing on it, but there's some really fun songs in there. So just I love his vibe, and I love that he makes music that just sounds like whatever the heck he wants to make. And then number 5 is a band that's been around for a while, but I had never listened to, and that's Acid Bath. So they were active from like 1991 to 1997, and they only had 2 albums, but oh, they are actually like I can see why they are so popular. Their first album, When the Kite String Pops, is just a mishmash of different like rock metal subgenres, and it works. They all sound good. Like sometimes when you have a band that does like a lot of different sounds, it doesn't sound that good. But Acid Bath, it was like, no, this is different, and this is good, and this is different, and this is good. And yeah, it's just a very interesting album. And kind of reminds me a little bit of System of a Down, with some of their songs. And yeah, that's I don't know. They're interesting. I can see how they were so popular. And now going on to authors slash books. So number 1 is Austin Kleon. So I read his 3 books: Steal Like an Artist, Show Your Work, and Keep Going. I think I saw him mentioned in a different book that I was reading, Creative Acts for Curious People, and I just decided to give his stuff a whirl. And I really like his vibe. I really like the way that he like gives advice, basically just like sharing different quotes, different visuals, and some of his own experiences. He also is quite active on Substack and shares a lot of stuff about his creative process. Yeah, I like that he's very involved in sharing and promoting creativity in different people. It's very not like hoard it all for yourself kind of vibe. Yeah, I really like his stuff. So he also is the reason that I checked out the next person we're going to talk about, and for that I am just oh so grateful. So the next author that I want to talk about is Linda Berry. So I discovered Linda Berry because of Austin Kleon mentioning her several times, and the things that he mentioned were quite interesting to me. So I decided to check out some of her stuff. I checked out What It Is first, which is a book about writing, and then I also checked out Picture This, one of her graphic like compilations of her comics, and also I started reading Making Comics. So Linda Berry is just so friggin' cool in my eyes. She, like, some of her books, the What It Is and Picture This, are they're like experiences. They're not like a regular book that you read. They're very visual. They're like basically just pages of collage. But in them, you, like, slowly start to see what she's talking about. Like, she's talking about changing your frame of mind about these things, and it's really fascinating the way she does it, and it really has helped me to rethink a lot of things. I've been doing a lot of different things because of her influence, and I'll probably share a lot of that in a different video. If you wanted to, like, jump into her stuff, I would say, like, maybe try reading a little bit of like her comics, and then this book, Making Comics, I just started it, but it's a lot more like straightforward of a read. So it's basically taking a lot of the things that she was teaching her class on making comics. She teaches in college or university. She basically, yeah, goes through a lot of her exercises that she gives to the class, talks about how the class is set up. And it's a lot more like it's visuals that are to tell um what she's talking about, but they're not like full visual only pages with like a few words. So I would say if you're just starting out, this might be a good book to start with just because it's got a good flow with it. Or if you want to really like just go a little bit more on the full Linda Berry experience, I would go with the What It Is book. And then the one last one we'll talk about is The Serviceberry: Abundance and Reciprocity in the Natural World by Robin Wall Kimmerer. So I listened to this audiobook in January and I really liked it. The author is so good at taking like science Western knowledge kind of stuff and combining it with Indigenous teachings and Indigenous wisdom. And she does it in a really accessible, approachable way. So I really like her style just in general. And I think in this book, she did a really good job taking kind of one idea and unpacking it and talking about stuff that like really sucks and you can feel like how much she feels like the world is in a pretty terrible place right now, but shifting things into a message of some hope, of something to kind of work towards to help make positive change. So, yeah, I really liked it. And I love that this one's like only 2 hours of an audiobook listen because it's very, very approachable. You could go back and like reread stuff and just kind of simmer on some of the ideas that she has in that book. Yeah. So that's my list for January. Um, I will have a playlist that has a few of the things that I talked about in here. I think I'm gonna do so every month. I'm hoping to do a Substack article with this list, a video with me talking about the stuff that I liked, and then also a playlist on YouTube that has things from the people that I'm talking about, if that interests you. So, yeah, thanks for joining me. If you have any favorites from this month, if you want to comment on them, it would be kind of cool if we could kind of get like a chain reaction going at some point where, like, if people mention things that they really liked and then I check those out in like the next month or two, then I can add those to my list and then we can kind of grow like a flowing living list. That would be really neat. I don't know if anyone's gonna like this style or not. Let me know if you do. I don't really like I like the things that I like and I like to share them. So I thought this would be a good way of doing that. Thanks so much for joining me. Take care.